Ko ngā mate e rā kua hoka o kai, te pae kua koro ki runga I ngā rākau tapu o te wānui a tāne. Ngā mate o te wā, haramai, haere. Tātou kei tau maramati he wa Māori ora and welcome back to the Hui. From growing up in a small country community to working on some of Hollywood's biggest blockbusters, TikTok star Te Wārena has lived a colourful life. But it's her struggle with her gender identity that's shaped much of her journey. Te Wārena sat down with reporter Lanini Tuitupo in a story produced by John Boynton. And a warning, suicide is mentioned in this report.
Traditionally reserved for wahine, is there a place for trans wahine to wear mokokauai?
I've had everything from saying you're a disgrace to tikanga to you're going to hell.
Te Wārena has always felt people's eyes on her.
Always asked, are you a boy or a girl? All my life. Sometimes I'd say I was a girl. So I just said I was. My name was Karen or something like that. Or then it changed to Taylor. I went through all these different names.
But in recent years, she's been receiving a new type of attention. As one of Aotearoa's most well-known TikTok influencers.
It was Josie Rose who went viral first. So she went viral with the Whitney Houston song. That was my favourite song when I was younger.
Her girl's viral moment sparking a massive audience.
It got 1 million likes in half an hour or something. It was quite scary, but at the same time exciting.
1 million likes became 1 million followers, all sharing in Te Wārena's journey as a transgender wahine raising 3 tamariki.
Being a mum is a nice part. Being a transgender woman and a mum, it takes a lot of energy.
Born Warren Dion Smith, home was the small North Waikato settlement of Mangatangi.
So I was very spoiled as an only moko to my nanny. Always brought up around Waiata, always around the marae.
As a kid, she expressed her feminine side.
This started back when I was like 4 or 5. You know, I was always putting makeup on.
Which sometimes made life in a small rural community tough.
Being told that you're not masculine enough, trying to fit in, but you were always with the girls. So, you know, when the boys says, oh, you should be with the boys, and why don't you play rugby? I left school at 13 because you didn't feel safe.
That same year, Warren attempted suicide.
And then my nana had to watch me get taken off in the ambulance. Not for attention, but I did it because I didn't know how to express myself.
Te Wārena soon left home and discovered the drag and transgender community on K Road.
I met my first transgender when I was 16, and I thought she was the most beautiful woman. Those were my exciting times growing up because I was rebelling. I was dressing up. Heels were a hard thing to find, but dresses and everything were really easy and was skinny, and you just fit in.
Was there anyone in your family that was against it at that time?
I hear some of my cousins talking, and they, you know, it's the same corridor. They would say, if my son turned out like that they'd beat it out of them.
These attitudes added to her constant struggle with her gender identity.
Behind me is Queen Mary's Centre, the Hurunui.
I was admitted into Queen Mary Centre, which is a drug and rehabilitation centre.
It was a place for recovery. Recovery meant drug addicts, sex addicts, and then there was me, people who wanted to be transgender.
You were programmed in a way of thinking that maybe you did have a problem. Believing you were powerless over whatever it was that was controlling you and that your life had become unmanageable. I asked the psychologist, is this a mental illness? Because it was back then. So I went in wanting to be transgender in 1996. But I came out of there because I was told that I wouldn't be a woman. I got to a point where I thought, what can I do? You didn't have what you have now. Didn't have all these support networks. You didn't have these wraparound services. It was on your own.
Te Wārena pushed the idea of transitioning into a woman aside, instead focusing on her career.
I've been with Weta Workshop for around 11 years.
Becoming an award-winning hair and makeup designer.
I feel so blessed to be able to be in an actual industry that had claimed me for their own as an artist.
Working on Hollywood blockbusters The Hobbit and Avatar. But her path took an unexpected turn when she became the full-time carer of 3 young children from her whānau.
They knew me all their life.
Siblings Te Whiro, Charlie and Josie Rose moved in with her in 2019.
I became a legal guardian.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
How's your day been?
It's been pretty awesome today.
I didn't know really what my role was until they were all there. And you know, these like 6 set of eyes, you know, all looking up, little eyes.
Hi.
That was really a time where I thought
Hi.
I didn't have the skills. And that was the hardest thing.
But just as she became a solo parent, Te Wārena decided to transition into a woman.
I was working on a movie called Red, White and Brass.
We're going to show our pride to the world.
And it was a Tongan movie, beautiful movie. It just started my first day of hormones. Being in my mid-40s, starting that, scary. But they really embraced me.
So while you're getting the kids, you were transitioning, you were dealing with your
hormones,
Yeah.
the hormones were racing, a lot of crying in the night, not knowing what to do. The only way I could get over this was doing TikToks.
And when the kids joined in, her TikToks really popped off, amassing millions of views.
And we love you. Thank you so much.
How did you handle the attention?
It was always very positive. We've never had a negative response outside of here. It will always be online.
Stop fighting!
The biggest comments on TikTok were, how did I have these children? You're a man, you know. Oh, that's the dad, you know. No, that's the mum. And the kids would see this at school.
When the kids heard those kind of comments, did they see you in a different way?
It becomes one of those ones where I say, don't worry about it. But at the same time, I didn't know how to deal with that. I think I probably do owe them an apology for putting them in that situation.
And so do the kids call you Dad? I'm a woman.
Coming up, a devastating loss.
O ki mai anō e hoa mā ki tā tātou hui. For TikTok star Te Wārena, the decision to transition into a woman had been a lifetime in the making. This came as she also juggled raising 3 young tamariki. But this year, everything changed when tragedy struck her whānau.
Hi, I hope you all have a wonderful day today.
That'll be $340.
Put it on my tab, please.
You don't have a tab?
Millions of fans across the world have watched Te Wārena's tamariki grow up on social media.
Thank you to our supporters and our moderators and friends.
Audiences in particular connected with her eldest boy, Te Whiro.
Crab white or dodo.
Oh, thank you.
Hot chocolate for me.
Oh, thank you so much. All his life, Te Whiro would always call me Jojo.
What does dodo mean?
And well, to me, I said it was an ugly, extinct bird.
Favorite dodo?
He had the same personality his whole life. I knew straight away he was going to be challenging, but also he was going to be fun.
Te Whero was born with Klinefelter's, a genetic disorder that impacted his development and speech.
As a kid, he was always sick.
Despite his condition, Te Wārena encouraged the 16-year-old to live life to the fullest.
He saw himself as just natural and normal.
But at the start of this year, his health took a dramatic turn.
He started getting a sore leg, like a sore shin. Then he got a sore stomach and was vomiting. And then the doctors, when I rang them, says, just monitor it. The next day he was still vomiting. The next day he said, can you take me to the hospital?
And there, they received devastating news.
They did a CT scan and it showed mass in his brain. Everything was riddled with cancer.
He had just days to live.
He was on life support. That was the only thing keeping him going. I said that I'd like it removed. And he, I felt him say I was all right. And then he was gone. I didn't cry. I just stayed very staunch because I had to get through all of this on my own.
But she wasn't on her own. She was joined by all her followers mourning around the world.
Probably my favorite young Maori creator, Te Ao. He touched me, and I know he touched millions across the world.
It's the most painful that I've ever experienced. And also remembering that his brother and sister are grieving in their own way as well.
After Te Whero's death, Te Wārena wanted to find a way to honour her boy.
What led to that decision of getting your moko kauae done?
When people ask what this is about my grief, about him.
She knew some people would be against her receiving a kauae because she wasn't born a woman.
My auntie, she is our kaikaranga on our marae. She is the matriarch. And she said, you deserve it. And she said, don't question that ever again. This is yours.
She made sure she found the right tāmoko artist.
I chose a wahine to do this. She knew me, knew my story. The two manu were placed on each side of my eyes, one representing the passing, or one representing the living, and one representing male and female. The kauae sits in the middle of those two.
How did it feel lying down and preparing for the receiving of your moko kauae?
I had all my family and friends around holding my hand. And also my auntie's korowai that she made. Then when I saw myself, I think, who is that? So it was like looking at somebody different.
What has the reaction been like seeing you, someone who is a transgender woman, wearing a moko kauae?
I've had everything from saying you're a disgrace to tikanga to only women should get this. Some saying you're going to hell. And then others are just saying, you know, well, she can do what she wants to do.
The debate around transgender wahine receiving moko kauae comes as a controversial bill goes through Parliament.
Legislation Definitions of Women and Men Amendment Bill, first reading.
I've been watching this for a while. This is not something new.
The bill establishes biological sex as the overarching definition for man and woman in any legislation. This is regardless of an individual's gender identity.
People deserve respect and safety, and biological sex is real and matters.
If something scares you about a group of people that you don't really know or understand, I invite you to reach out and to try and understand.
It isn't made law yet, and it might not. Hopefully it won't. But for me, even if the bill did go through, it doesn't take away my right to be who I am. It's a toll now. This is the grief. Not just the beauty, but part of the grief. When I see this, I can always see Te Whiro.
What do you think Te Whiro would say if he got to see you with your moko kauai?
Te Whiro said, you don't should get one of these. This is like last year. I said, don't be ridiculous. His first thing will go, oh, nice, yeah. But Te Whiro, oh, yeah, nice.
Kia tia e hoa mā taro, kaui hoa nei tā tātou hui. Kua te tiro tātou, ki te pai hākina kina. After the break, the dynamic duo of Māori sport commentary, Ravinda Hunia and Mitch Redman are with us next. Kia ora mai anō, e ngai wi anō mai hoki mai ki tā tātou hui ākina o te hui I ai ana. Now you're probably wondering, how did we land the best in the business with Ravinda and Mitch on our show? Well, Hulk Hogan always said, you always take your vitamins and say your prayers. Eat your Weet-Bix and you can land this opportunity one day too. So, to introduce them, she is an award-winning sports journalist, broadcaster and host of Unlock with Rav, as well as many other programs. Huri no tapu ika Ravinda Hunia tēnā koe, no mai ahua. And here's 3 News sports presenter and journalist. And according to an article I read on Women's Day, he's Aotearoa's most eligible bachelor. He uri no te raroa kai whare. Mitch Redman, tēnā koe. Awesome to have you both. I watched the netball this morning. I just thought it was beautiful. The Silver Ferns, that long journey, Nolene Taurua. Man, what a game and what a team.
What a game and what a team is right, and a very young team as well. I remember when we were thinking back to, 2019 when the name the Fossils, represented the older players of the team, but this time there was all the young guns, played their hearts out, and not only did they win that gold medal, but they won it very convincingly. Their whole tournament was quite convincing. There were no real, tight games throughout that competition, which just showed that they played their absolute hearts out and were the better team on the day.
For Nolene Taurua, I mean, this is amazing. First of all, she plays Mila Riolu Buchanan at wing defence. I think it was only her 6th game. I mean, it just goes to show you, this woman knows how to coach a netball team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think towards the end too, all of these players, they were just one, when Dame Knowles came back and she was away and Yvette McCausland-Jury was there looking after the team, it was quite fragmented. There was players that were in team Dame Knowles' camp and then others in another team, but these guys have all come together as one and they've achieved a gold medal at the Commonwealth Games. It's amazing. I watched the interviews afterwards, one with Mila, where she's breaking down crying, talking about her journey. Grace Nweke talks about her journey. Why are our female athletes so good on camera by comparison to our male athletes?
Wow.
No, but seriously,
no, they are. They're great. They're charismatic. Yeah. And I think that comes down to, the state of netball at the moment in terms of they're doing much more than just playing the game. They're having to sell the game, They're selling this game to everyone that are sitting on their couches at home and showing that we are more than just these players on the court. We're marketable. We're professional, even though we're semi-professional ultimately. And we are the goods. We're professional athletes and we are really good at what we do.
Com Games, Mitch, 10 goals, 6th overall. Successful?
I think definitely above the pass mark. I think in terms of this Commonwealth Games campaign, it was more medals than 2022 in Birmingham, so they'll be happy about that. I think there's probably some sports there, maybe the track cycling, where they potentially wanted to do better. But you look at some of the individual performances, some of the first ever golds, you'd have to be pretty stoked about that.
Yeah. What's your golden moment, by the way?
It's hard to pinpoint one, but I think Eliza McCartney's gold in the pole vault was awesome, just given all of the injuries and the hard time that she's had over the past decade, so to speak. To go and do that was amazing. And then for Zoe Hobbs to run sub 11 seconds in the 100-metre sprint too. It's unbelievable.
Awesome, eh? That's awesome. What about you?
Amazing.
What's your golden moment?
Yeah, my two golden moment. One had to be Zoe. I was fortunate enough to be there in 2022 in Birmingham. Wow. And so to see her ascent over the last 4 years, to get a gold nonetheless, absolutely amazing to watch and happy for her. And then that Cinderella moment with the Silver Ferns. No one was expecting it. To not even have Australia in the final was just icing on the cake.
Absolutely. I actually loved it. And I shed no tears over it, just quietly. The Waz played your Titans. I can't remember the score. 4 million to 3 or something.
I have forgotten very quickly that score, Julian. Thank you for the reminder.
No, but that's 2 victories in 1 year.
Yeah.
2 Titans.
Yes,
2 Titans.
Yeah. I know where this is going.
We stole a lot of your Titans, though, didn't we?
Well, yeah,
we brought them on board.
Exactly.
No, but so they're back on track? The Warriors back on track for this year?
I think they're back on track. Unfortunately, a bit of a slip on the ladder, so they're sitting in third now with the Roosters leapfrogging them. But they're no way by any means, off the radar for a potential premiership and a grand final run. But this is the best we've ever seen of the Waz. We always say this is our year, and this year it really does feel like it. You believe it this year.
But do you feel the same way? I mean, so Broncos gone.
Broncos gone.
Storm gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think if there's a year, this year could certainly be the year. And I know Andrew Webster won't say this. He'll say, one game at a time. Yeah. But here's a perfect opportunity to play the probably top title contenders in the Panthers this week. Mm-hmm. It's like you're wanting to treat this as your grand final this week and, make a real statement to the rest of the competition that, watch out.
Great setup for the finals, yeah. The Wahine's unfortunately close. Man, they were way behind in the first half, but they came back. Can they do it this year, Mitch? Ravinda, do you think?
I think they're still sitting 5th or 6th, aren't they, in that top 6? And they've had so many injuries so early in this comp too. There's still 5 or 6 weeks left to go until the finals. So I think if we can get a bit of a run of getting all the best players on the field at one time, that'll be sweet as.
It's their 4th halves pairing of the season so far in 4 games?
Exactly.
So that's ridiculous in terms of consistency.
If they can get Gale and Stacey on at the same time, man, what a team. Yeah. OK, Navajo Sterling. Where did he come from?
He has been on the simmer for a while.
Okay.
I don't think he's really been given the kudos that perhaps he's deserved since jumping into the UFC, but he's undefeated. He's 10-0 in his professional career, 6-0 in the UFC, 7 if you include Dana White Contender Series, but he just hasn't done it in the big flashy styles that we like to see, especially in the heavier weight divisions. He's a light heavyweight. So because it hasn't been all, razzle-dazzle, he's kind of stayed off the radar, but this win against Jan Blachowicz really does. That was his coming out.
I was going to say, you said not in style, and then he knocks out Jan Blachowicz in like the first round. 30 seconds, TKO.
Yeah.
Wow, what an intro. OK, I would be remiss not to mention the ABs, the first game of the quote-unquote greatest rivalry match, August 8th against the Stormers. Can they win a test match in South Africa?
I think they absolutely can. I think in South Africa, in those 3 tests before they go to America, I think if we can get out of there at 2-1, just given everything that's happened for the All Blacks in the lead up to this, I think just getting 1 win in South Africa would be possible. Whether that comes at Ellis Park in Johannesburg for that first test, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I definitely think that what we've seen so far this year, they look like an improved side. They look like a side that's all playing from the same team sheet. So absolutely, it can be done.
You're keeping an eye on the NPC.
I am. A little.
We won't talk too much more about it. You've got a project. Why is Richie Moana at home?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's a lot more chat about who's not on the plane than who actually is over there, and then throw Adi Savia in the mix as well. What's going on with those recruits? But maybe he just has to have a little bit more time. I don't know how much more time you want to see. He was absolutely amazing for a side, scoring that winning try for Canterbury. But hopefully he gets over there at some point.
Yeah. It sounds like
one-way ticket.
It sounds like it's paperwork more than anything because he's only signed for 18 months. New Zealand Rugby's basically said if he'd signed a 2-year deal, then he would have been on the plane to South Africa. So,
okay, he'll get there. He'll get there. We've missed the Black Ferns. They've got a big tour coming up as well. South Africa, France, Scotland, England, and then they come home for a 3-test series against France. Thank you so much. Thank you both very much. Really appreciate your time. Tēnā koutou. We also forgot Te Teko versus Pāroa. There's so much on sport. That is us. What do you mean, did we? That is us. Indeed, we thank you for watching. Thanks again to our panel and all our guests. Until next week, ngai wiki mau ki te tūranga o taputapu a te haumi e, hui e, taiki e.
The best kind of people I want to interview are the ones that have got something really significant to say.
The new season of award-winning current affairs.
It's really about having a conversation and listening.
Te Ao with Moana, ki Māori Plus, me whakaata Māori.
Election season is coming.
And there's a lot of noise out there.
Promises.
Haupapa here, those policies.
And even those arguments.
All those tohe.
Engari, he harawa te pāpātanga ki te iwi Māori.
That's where we come in.
He ha te whakatau. Hono mai.
Kei aku kāti taramia, kei aku hinu rautangi, te tōreno mai nei runga I ngā hau e whā, nau mai raro mai ki runga ki ngā papāringa o Te Ao me Moana. Kiri tapu Alan, a meteoric rise, then a spectacular fall. Tonight, the former Cabinet Minister gives us an insight into not just her personal challenges, but the politics inside the politics.
For me, when I went into politics, I was really clear that I wasn't going in there for a little dance. I wanted to go in there, I wanted to make change. In order to do that, you had to be in government. In order to be in government, you need, well, to make those changes you want to, you had to be a minister. So I didn't even look at the minor parties. It was going to be National or Labour. It wasn't going to be National, so it had to be Labour.
What was it like being a young Māori in Parliament? Or was that maybe not as big a deal as other parts of your character and personality?
Every time you walk into a room, you're by and large the only person that looks like you, sounds like you, and is you, right? And we get used to that, because that's life. So walking into those rooms again was no different, but for the fact that other people could see you more prominently, people who looked like you, sounded like you. And I came to carry or feel very responsible for the voices that saw themselves in you. I held very high standards for myself because I knew of who the people and the voices that weren't being heard in places like that, and really wanted to be a steward of those things. But which is why when we get to the crash part, I felt very, very responsible for having breached that trust with those people.
Ka hoki anō ki tana tūkinga āmuri ake nei. E wāhanga noi ho tērā, no tana haurongo hou, go hard or go home. Why that title?
Always in life, if you've got the ball, you've got to run hard, so go hard. Otherwise, get out of the way and go home.
Well, you have.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
What's it like when you're at home and the phone is not ringing as much as you are used to it?
It is like this deathly silence. And at the start, you're still so frazzled. Your nerves are so frazzled after, being on all the time. And then it takes a little while, and you realise that actually that thing that you're not missing is the hectic, but you've come to love the peace.
Yeah. I whanau ke tā te minita kāwanatanga o mua rihaina. He oi tuatahi ake me hoki whakamuri. Nōna e ako ana I te ture, ka rangona tuatahitia e kiritapu ngā āhuatanga o te whare pāremata, hei kai tūao I te tari o te pirimia. Haere ngā tau, ka huri anō ai ngā whakaro kia hoki atu hei mema pāremata. Young, female, gay, about to be a parent. What on earth made you think Parliament?
We had a plan.
We is?
Oh, my family at the time. We had a plan. So the plan is that I was going to do a patsy run in 2017, see if I liked the feel of politics campaigning, and I was running in an unwinnable seat. It was the East Coast. So there was no way in heck you were going into Parliament So have a run, see if you like it, and then 2020 we're going to go all out. That didn't happen at all. Jacinda became the leader. She rang me one day after they were doing the list selections. She said, I hope you want to go into Parliament, Kitty, because you're at number 20 and you're definitely going to be going in. I just remember our whole world being rocked. We're like, what's going to go on here? We've got a baby on the way. But that's what happened.
When you got there to Parliament, did you feel it was a good fit for you and for your personality and character and what you wanted to do?
That's a great question. I don't know. I was certainly very intimidated of the environment. It wasn't the first time I'd been into those halls of power.
Of course. You left thinking, wondering about the merits of it, eh?
I did. Yeah, I did. I loved being out in the electorate. I loved being with people on the ground. There were lots of parts I did not like.
Well, one of the parts you didn't like was the foreshore and seabed thing that went through when you first went in there. So how did you reconcile your standing for Labour after that?
Absolutely. So yeah, I was, young person, left Labour Party over the seabed and foreshore debacle. And when I went back into the political frame, it was one of the issues that the party had recognised was tino he and had apologised to the populist force. So on those grounds, I could sort of suck it up.
You seized opportunities once you were in Parliament. They were offered to you and you took them. You were even touted as a Prime Minister. What sort of pressure does that put on you?
The politic of the politics is the stuff that I found really hard. You've got your opposition and they're going for you, they're doing their thing. Then you've got to manage your own internal caucus. And that brings different responsibilities. If you have a particular view on a particular policy and you want to get that through, you're really working quite closely with your own colleagues to get them over the line.
So you're suggesting that some of the battles weren't just with the opposition, but with your own?
That's part of politics, right? Labour, for example, my party, or I presume very much like in other larger parties, but it's a broad church. So there's many perspectives and views and, in terms of ways that we should do things.
What big change did you make that you're most proud of?
Oh, interesting. The thing I always am most proud of is bringing in matariki as a public holiday. I think that was something really special to be a part of. When I took on the justice portfolio, we got all of the cross agencies wrapped around these young people and worked with them individually, collectively as their families and stewarded them through. And we had a great success rate. And so when the narrative didn't cut through, we were losing the debate on law and order, and I'm the Justice Minister.
When you're saying the narrative didn't cut through, what was the narrative and what does that mean?
Getting tough on crime. Getting tough on crime because...
You mean that one was the prevailing narrative?
That was the prevailing narrative. Ours would have been, we work... How would you cut even?
You see, you're struggling now to try and get the narrative. That's the problem,
That's the problem, because it's not sexy.
Yeah.
We're working with young people to support them in their homes and and make sure that they don't offend.
Ram raiders smashing into a liquor store in Christchurch overnight. Thieves getting inside the store but running off after being disturbed.
But nobody cared about that because it was so much... And one car ramming into a shop with all the glass shattering, it looks great on TV. You got a kid that's got 4 agencies wrapping around him in his whānau and they're making big pivotal, changes in their lives. Where's the story? What's the angle? We're living in a different time where almost, I used to say that policy was dictated by polls, or now it's almost dictated by social media likes and shares. So much of the policy that's been introduced is done without factual grounding, and the criminal justice system was one big area of that which I'd love to see reformed.
Well, were there people you get in the lift and you go, oh God, I'm not getting in there?
Oh, absolutely.
Names?
No. Oh, yeah, no. No. What people don't realise about Parliament is that house that you see on TV, that's a football field. It's a game.
It's a theatre.
It's a theatre, and everybody jumps out of the theatre, off the footy pitch, and they go and laugh. Because in New Zealand politics, There is far more in common than there is that's different in New Zealand. We have far more common values. All this race stuff that's going off, I mean, people hate it. It's so destructive.
Well, that's probably why the theatrical nature of Parliament drives the rest of us watching nuts.
Correct.
Because there's so many important things that need to be addressed, and everyone's just aiming for the next 3 years.
Yep, that's right. That's absolutely right. The real grunt and meat of politics happens behind closed doors. Whakaari was in 2019 and I'd been in politics for like a year and a half at that point, maybe 2.
There is no sign of life on Whakaari White Island tonight after the eruption at our most active volcano, and it's still too dangerous for recovery teams to go in. 47 people were on the Bay of Plenty Island at the time. 5 are confirmed dead, but 8 are still missing on the island, with officials saying it'll now be a recovery operation.
It happened right on our back doorstep in Whakatane, and we were just managing so much grief and trauma and pain. And I think because you're local, you're on the ground, I know that we've got a very important role to play in Parliament and you must be there, but you also have to be in the trenches with our people when time counts. And that's something I always respected about Jacinda's leadership. When there were crises, she just had a very steady hand and had a calming effect, but was in and on the ground with the people. And I learned a lot about that from Whakaari.
Look at this whānau. We're setting up, we're going to pitch up.
Tātahi ka tū te porotehi whakahe I ngā whakahau āture me ngā rāhui ki te wharepare mate I te tau 2022. He tino ua te kawe a kiritapu hei minita kāwanatanga ko tōna ake whānau tērā I noho puni ki waho o te pāremata. You're a minister then. You had whānau in the occupation and the protests. How did that pan out?
How did that pan out? Well, each day I'd look out my office looking for my mother or my brother or my sister and be like, oh, there they are, they've got the high vis on. All right, keep an eye on them, everything okay? And then, you know, in the evenings I'd sneak down to grab their washing or take them home for a shower or whatever it was, and then bring them back to their newfound home. And, you know, everybody had particular views and experiences. I was very much pro-mandate, and I still am pro-mandate for vaccinations. My mother lost her job because of her refusal to get a vaccination, hence why she was there protesting her daughter and us. But I felt like everybody was entitled to have a view, and you love your family. We might not agree on everything, but I love my family.
Did Mum say, Kiri? Did she tongue you up or what? How did you work that out?
I still think to this day that she thinks that I wasn't a part of the cabinet that was making those decisions. Yes, I know what you're saying, but it's them. I was like, no, we're going to play that back. I was like, no, I'm one of the 20 people around that table. We're making those decisions, and I voted for the mandate. I know, bub, but it's them.
Yes.
And the other fascinating dynamic for me was a lot of people there who didn't feel like they had a community, found a community there, they had roles, they had responsibilities, neighbours and people that they felt aligned with. That was something I took away as a sadness that we, as decision makers, hadn't been able to create that safe place and home for those that needed a place to go.
Political shockwaves as Jacinda Ardern calls time as Prime Minister, while Helen Clark is blaming social media.
How did you respond to Jacinda's resignation after that?
Yeah, I was really upset when Jacinda resigned. I absolutely understood why she did, but I was really devastated. She was a very, very good leader. She had a clarity in terms of what she wanted to achieve, and yeah, very principled. Then she left.
Your name was chucked in out there as a possible replacement. What was that like?
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there a bit of you that thought, I could step up to this, or?
No. there's a few of us who were talking about slowing down the process so we could actually think through because things were moving very quickly. And I just remember driving from the Hawke's Bay up to Te Puna, which is where I'm from, in Tauranga, and we'd gathered actually for a tangi. And all my whānau turning to me saying, "Are you going to run to be the Prime Minister?" I said, "Whānau, no, I'm not." And they were, "Okay, no, that's all right, we would have supported you, but..."
He wā anō ona I haha ai te manawa o te tangata. Heoi anō kāre tētahi I rite ki tāna I aro atu ai I te tau 2017.
The cancer diagnosis would have just been so devastating.
The diagnosis was one of the scariest things I've ever heard. I was in the Wellington airport, got the news, broke down. Had some staff kind of wrap around you and shovel you out and get me to my parents' house. Anyway, so that was a really terrifying period of life because you become so, well, vulnerable to death at the hands of something you can't control. That was a predominant reaction. The second part was I'd just been made a minister and I'd gone in there to try and do something. If I survived, I was going to have to take this huge amount of work off, and I was gutted. I do think that experience shaped probably so much of what came from my latter part of the politics. I came back too early, was really, really exhausted and sick a lot of the time, and I was advised to stay off for longer, but I just got this new role and I wanted to go out and do something with it, and so I went back. And I think that had longer term consequences as well.
Kiri Allen has resigned as a minister after being arrested for a late-night car crash in Wellington. The now former Justice Minister was charged with careless driving and refusing to accompany a police officer, and issued an infringement notice for being over the legal alcohol limit.
You've had time to reflect on the arrest and that whole episode. How would you describe your state of mind leading up to that?
Oh, leading up to it was absolutely terrible. I was shot. I think I'd already been on mental health leave for a period before then, but I was in a state for quite some time where I'd felt like I needed to exit politics. Couldn't see how to do that. I was breaking down, literally. And as a consequence, I made a series of very poor decisions that had, the impact that they've had. And I think I've thought a lot about this, is that what would you have done differently at the time when you felt that breaking happen? I think there's still a lot of stigma to talk about things when you feel like your weaknesses, that you're crashing and burning. So I think I would have done a lot more to talk to people genuinely, to say, look, this is really what's going on. I put a lot of pressure on myself to be at work, and maybe the best decision was to just say yes when they offered me the opportunity to take a break. But I didn't, because I felt this responsibility to get these things over the line. But yeah, those are the two things I think, opening up and forming a very close circle of people to actually shared the load and be like, this is really where I'm at. And then two, taking that break when I should have, and it's just, pens down. But I didn't. And then as a consequence, I decided to go and have a few beers and crash a car.
So just tell me about what happened that night. You wrote about it in your book.
Yeah, what happened? Went down. I was feeling pretty, I really didn't want to be around anymore. So went down, had a few beers, had intentions to do something that was not, wasn't good. And then I tried to drive to a friend's place after I'd had those beers. I crashed into the parked ute, And from that point, as soon as people started coming down, they were saying, that's Kitty Ellen, that's Kitty Ellen. And I just remember freaking out, jumping on my phone and starting to, basically I had to contact everybody in Parliament and, you know, all those types of things because this was going to be a big issue. And I just remember I just started walking and talking on my phone, clocking through all the different issues and just kept walking. And yeah, then the police arrive and...
Do they clock who you were quickly?
Yeah. Everyone was clocking who you were straight away. It was quite a recognisable figure at the time. And yeah, I mean, I just said to them, well, I want to speak to a lawyer. And we had this big debate about whether or not I could speak to a lawyer, and they decided I couldn't, decided to arrest me for failure to accompany. And so I went down the cop shop, and yeah, I don't like the way I acted once I was down there, or even during a... Yeah, I had my point to make, which was I wanted the lawyer, but yeah, from that point I became quite... What did I write? I became a bit of a dick.
Yeah, but it was the people around you are going, really?
Yeah, come on,
Calm
man.
the farm,
Chill.
girl.
And I was like, absolutely not. So I just remember being really manic. Manic. And so nothing was going to turn me down. So yeah, a bit of a dick, really. And so essentially that was the crash, you know. Then things happened from there. I wrote a resignation there at like midnight, which I wasn't allowed to send according to the people I had in my company till about first thing in the morning. They're like, no, you need to think about this. I was like, I thought about it. I'm resigning. I'm
Get
resigning.
off the email.
Get me out of here. I want to go. So yeah, wrote the email, sent that off, and just my cousins came to get me and bundled me into a car, and we just drove. We just drove north into Tauranga. And I hid out for about the next 10 weeks.
And what did you learn from that?
Oh, what did you learn? Well, I carried a lot of guilt and shame for a very long time. And yeah, the decisions that I made that night, I'm really not proud of. And then the guilt and shame associated with that, and kind of coupled with that feeling like you really let people down, like a lot of people down. Felt like, you know, even just being a young wahine Māori, you let down all the young wahine Māori that had, you know, that could see themselves in you. So a big part of the learning was how to forgive yourself, and that took ages. It was really hard. I think another learning was just how gracious people are. I had people from all corners, walks of life, reach out a hand and really support me for a long time. You know, that was people from, I think I wrote about it, you know, there were members of the National Party, members of the Greens, you know, it didn't matter. People saw you as a person. I think I learnt about how important it is to breathe, and that yes isn't always what you should say in a whole range of circumstances. It's actually take a point, breathe, and is this even possible right now? You don't have to be a superhero and do all the things under the sun just because your ego likes it.
Have you changed your lifestyle as well?
Completely, yeah. Instead of family being second to work, work is second to family. So baby and I have got her half a week, and she dictates the way that my life is lived. And yeah, then I work on top of that. So yeah, still really enjoy working hard. That's what gives me a sense of sort of purpose as well as baby. But no, completely reprioritised life. Picked up golf.
Oh, God.
Picked up golf.
My whole family's into golf.
That's a blooming great sport. 2 hours walking.
Okay. What about the alcohol?
Yeah, what about it?
Have you stopped reaching for that when you're stressed out?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, yeah, less of a, what's the word? Like a salve?
Like a medicine?
Yeah, less like dependence on having to reach there because it's the only thing you feel like you've got. No, that's been a really good journey as well to go on.
Kua tautana ngākau ki ngā mea I pā ki aia. Heoi anō whai muri I ngā taumaha I roto I te whare pāremata, kotahi tonu te pātai whakamutinga I hea au kia tukuna atu mō te whare.
Who has most of the power? Is it the officials or the minister?
Well, on paper, it's the minister. But senior public servants who've been there a lifetime, I say that they're more political than any politician. They know the game inside out. I think that there's too much power in senior bureaucrats. Then they can shape, they can help to advance your political agenda, or they can obstruct it in different ways.
Winston Peters, of course, and David Seymour would probably agree with you because they've been throwing barbs at officials, particularly those that disagree with them. You're not standing for ACT, are you? Is that a no?
Oh, that's a heck no.
Well, that sounds definitive. It's a bit of a nice change. A straight talker in election year. Oh, hey, before we go, an update on our story out of Wairoa last week. The inspiring couple, both GPs, who returned home to serve their community.
He tākuta anō hoki te hoa rangatira a Turiki. Ko Rāwatahi, ko Mānia, e arahi ana I te whare haura o Wairoa. Kua whakapūmau rawa, hei Pākahi, nā te Māori, mō te Māori. Tīmata ai te rā ki te karakia me te waiata, me mātua ako koe I te reo Māori.
A huge viewer response and plenty of engagement on our socials, and at least one application from a doctor keen to join their practice. How cool is that? Signing off for this week, Pō Marie.
For more Te Ao of Moana, stream full episodes now on Māori Plus.
Election season is coming.
And there's a lot of noise out there.
Promises.
Haupapa here, those policies.
And even those arguments.
All those total hetohe.
Engari, he harawa te pāpātanga ki te iwi Māori.
But what does it mean for Māori? That's where we come in.
He ha te whakatau, pono mai.
To bring you insight from those closest to the kaupapa.
And help make sense of the 2026 election.
He te ringa hau I adwe wiki.
He ha te whakatau. I Te Ao Māori News, e Māori Plus.